So you finally started to master EQ, reverb's becoming more and more simple. Compression is compression. At this point, you've watched every single mix video and read every single article online about the technical side of mixing. Now what you need is the blueprint to tie it all together to become a successful, self-sustaining audio engineer in today's industry.
I'm Maddox, Maddmix Chhim. I've mixed records for Ray Shrimmer, 21 Savage, Bossman D-Lo, Camilo, and many more.
I'm Kevin Black Pro McCloskey. I'm a Grammy-nominated multi-platinum mixing, mastering, and Dolby Atmos engineer. I work with artists like Tyla, Dreamville, The Baby, Giveon, Future, amongst a bunch others.
Let's talk about how you can start making money as a mixing engineer, or even land some mixes with some of your favorite artists. So as a new upcoming engineer, nobody knows who you are, nobody knows your work. So you have to offer your service for free, initially. What a spec mix allows you to do is pretty much showcase your mixes to a potential client, and if they like your mix, then you're in business. If not, just listen to their feedback so you can approach your next customer with a higher chance of success. My first spec mix I remember I did was for RCA Records. I did a free mix. It was for Kid Ink. They approved the mix. And then from there, we did a whole album, and that's how I landed my first client. I kind of offered a free spec mix, you know, mentioned like, if you guys like this one, I would definitely like to negotiate and work with you guys for future projects. And at that point, then you can start billing and getting money instead of doing free spec mixes. So I know a lot of you guys may not have the same relationships like I had with A&Rs, but what you can do is use social media. One of our students actually went on Instagram, searched A&R, went to their profile and sent a DM offering a free spec mix. And within a few months, he went from having no connections to mixing for Rock Nation.
The hardest concept for me to understand once I started doing bigger records, this is not my song. When I was dealing with independent artists, I really took pride in the way I could change or manipulate their record. Add ear candy, do these big huge effects, take it from something that was mediocre to very big, very grand. Industry records do not want you to change their sauce.
But you can also get lost in the sauce.
They want you to do it like the demo, but better. Maybe a little bigger, maybe a little wider. Yeah, boy. But like the demo. When you start really changing the sonic character of everything, it's gonna be a huge deal. So just because you think it will sound better, doesn't mean it's actually what they're looking for. What's most important is their creative opinion, and you are using your skills to make their song sound exactly how they want.
Another thing I wish I knew on the come up was you don't need all this fancy gear and plugins. I landed my first big placement when I first moved to Atlanta, brand new apartment, no sound treatment. I didn't have any gear. All I had was an interface, my laptop, and a pair of headphones. I was able to do a mix in headphones and just minimal equipment, and it landed me the whole project for 21 Savage. We won a Grammy off of it, and that was it. In the beginning, I thought it was the equipment, the plugins that just made the sound. It's not. So if this is something you struggled with, you don't need all the equipment, all the gear. Just trust the process, get in your reps, and you're on your way to becoming a successful audio engineer.
So this one might be a little controversial to some, but you're much more likely to have success being a likable individual than you are being the most knowledgeable. Internet forums are littered with extremely knowledgeable engineers that probably have done very little recording, very little mixing and mastering because they think that they knew more than everybody around them. The main goal of any engineer, especially a recording engineer, is to make the people around them comfortable. That means that you have to be approachable, accessible. You do have to know what you're doing, so you have to be able to accomplish a solid recording, a decent mix, but it doesn't mean that you have to know the ins and outs of every technical aspect of engineering. I'm not saying that you don't need to learn your craft, because that's very important too. If you're knowledgeable and likable, you're pretty much unstoppable. For anybody that's been around someone that feels like they know more than everyone else, it's really not a fun experience. If an artist suggests something and you shoot them down, that's not going to reflect well on you. You have to figure out a way to achieve what they're asking and use your expertise. If you start to flex your knowledge as if they're wrong, they're not going to want to work with you again. If you're mixing and mastering and you continuously tell the client that what they want is not appropriate, they're not going to work with you again. You have to give them what they want. They have to like to work with you. That means that you communicate, you're punctual, you're easy to get along with. So the same amount of time that you're putting into the technical side of your craft, you also need to be working on your people skills. That could be going into sessions or having conversations with people, even go out on the street and meeting someone random.
Hi.
Okay. Bring that positive energy to whatever project you're working on, and I promise it'll take you farther than just being the smartest person in the room.
Another thing I wish I would have known or I would have done on the come up was train your ears. I don't think you have to fully understand the technical theory. That was something I always felt like I lacked as a mixer. I wasn't confident in conversation with other engineers. So what did I do? I trained my ears to hear what an industry mix sounds like. The best thing you can do is find some mixes and songs that you really like and study all the elements of the mix. kicks, the drums, the vocals. Try to achieve that same balance in the mix that they have. And training your ears is not an overnight thing. This is something that I've done over the years and I'm still doing to this day. With mixing, you just become better with more reps over time and just trust the process.
So this next tip works great for if you're dealing with independent artists or label, everybody in between. There is no such thing as bad. A lot of times we think things aren't sonically appropriate, or the artist isn't good, or the tuning is off, or the sound selection, but they're just sounds. As soon as we get into thinking something's bad, we introduce overthinking. Overthinking will always kill our process. We will second guess everything that we're doing, and at the end, we'll look at it as a failure as opposed to they gave us a set of stems, a set of track outs, even a 2-track and a vocal, and we added value to that. We fixed problems, we enhanced. We didn't judge if it was good or bad. We just made what they gave us better, and in that, we added value to their product.
You smart.
One thing I wish I knew on the come up as an audio engineer was finding a mentor and just being useful, whether it's online or directly assisting for someone. So for my personal journey, I took a leap, moved out to LA. I was an intern at a studio, Letter B Studios, and I was grabbing coffee for about 1.5 years. And then this is when I finally made my connection with Jason Joshua, who eventually I became an assistant for.
And I got it from him, and it sounded, when I say amazing, amazing.
Are we talking about Maddox?
Maddox.
Okay.
Maddox Chhim, shout out.
Assisting for Jason, this taught me a lot of things on the business side, as well as a lot of things on the engineering side. I had to learn his system, his operations, how his workflow was. So this allowed me to get an inside look behind the scenes of what really goes on in these mixes. And this dramatically sped up my learning curve by years. And with being an assistant, you kind of have to take it in your own hands, learn how to troubleshoot any issues that occur. You don't want to be the guy that's always asking questions on how to do something. You'll be more of an annoyance than help. And now, with access to online resources, you can be anywhere in the world and learn from similar mentors that I had as an assistant to speed up your learning process.
And if there's a final tip that I could add, and yes, I'm here in Charlotte, I time traveled from Atlanta to Charlotte, is the power of staying consistent and trusting the process. So as much as you want to learn quick tips and quick hacks, that's not really the typical roadmap to success as an audio engineer. I was in the middle of nowhere, Spartanburg, South Carolina, with no connections. We had maybe one label client in the entire area. And after staying consistent long enough, I made the connection with Maddox, who then made the connection for me to Kevin, who then also connected me to Prizzy, which leads me to my second point, is the power of having mentors. So if you can stay consistent, trust the process, and surround yourself with all the right people, I couldn't think of anybody better than the Academy. Whenever I made these connections and got their guidance, my confidence went through the roof, and I actually believed that I could do exactly what they're doing. So if you've got this far and you haven't subscribed, kind of judging you. Right below this video, go ahead and like it, because you know you picked up the sauce. Drop a comment of your favorite tip that you picked up and that you're gonna implement ASAP. And while you're down there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We'll catch you next video. Peace.
Number 4, it's all in the hips. When we're moving the faders, it's not wrist to elbow, knuckle to tip of finger, it's hips. After you realize it's all in the hips, you need to like, you need to subscribe, you need to go over to MyAudioAcademy.com, you need to go change your life. You're tired of that 9 to 5? Come change your life with us. You want bigger records? I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure if you try really hard and learn from us, then maybe it'll happen. Probably it'll happen. Maybe probably it'll happen. We love you. Merry Christmas.